Welcome to Village Values. My name is Neima Abdulahi, Emmy-nominated journalist and host of this brand new podcast. Today, my lovely guest is none other than Brii Renee, television and radio personality, creator and host of the Mommy and Me podcast, influencer, YouTube blogger, entrepreneur, and creator of Visionaire Production Studios, and let's not forget, an experienced talk show host, previously with Revolt and now on Fox Soul's Truth Talk. Not only is she all of those things, but she's also my sister, and it's such an honor to have you on this platform.
I'm so excited to be here. I'm so proud of you. Congratulations on the show.
Thank you.
And stepping out and doing your own thing. I'm really excited.
Oh, thank you so much, friend. You know, anytime I think about the power of pivot and making life changes, I always think about you and the courage you always have to really believe in your dream. And I don't know if people really know like the amount of belief that you be sitting with.
Girl, it's called faith.
It's called faith, baby girl. But I just love your resiliency and always trusting the process.
Thank you for that. Like I said, sometimes I think it starts with a seed of faith.
Yeah.
I mean, a seed of belief, but it's fueled by faith. So I think that I just always trust in God. I'm like, okay, God, I'm gonna go with what you gave me a vision so I can try to bring it to life. Just give me all the tools and the resources every step of the way, like order my steps.
In every single way. So when people see you on social media, they see you're verified. They see you have hundreds of thousands of followers. They see your outreach. They see your success of every brand you've worked with, whether it's BET, whether it's Revolt, whether it's radio stations, whether it's you being an independent filmmaker as well, because let's not even skip over that.
You're right.
So if we really look at all your accolades, like, you're that girl.
Thank you.
And I want to seriously ask you a simple question. For those who may not know, how would you answer this question? Who is Brii Renee outside of all of those things?
Girl, I feel like I'm just a down-to-earth, true ATL girl at my heart, a friend, a believer, a sister, a daughter. I feel like the girl next door. And sometimes I don't feel like I've accomplished, or I don't feel like, I guess, how you would think you would feel after accomplishing a lot of your goals or checking it. I'm a hardcore like executor and go-getter, overall hustler. And I get a thrive or a thrill from just accomplishing things. I think ever since I was a little kid, like having agendas in school, or remember when you used to have to like read a certain amount of books to get a Pizza Hut sticker? Like just achieving goals gives me, it just really gets me going. So I think that's just something of like my genetic makeup. So that's who I am.
And that's how you always
been. A go-getter.
A go-getter. During the pandemic, you and I had a passion project that we really took on. The world was shut down, but we didn't stop.
We never stopped. Not anymore.
And we still ain't gonna stop to this day. But working with you on our podcast, The Appeal Unfiltered, I really saw your dedication like in action. You would be shooting productions. One weekend we filmed 10 episodes of a podcast season, and then we'd go again, and then we'd have editing sessions, and then social media strategy sessions. Like, your work ethic, I have not seen in a lot of people over the years. Where does that come from for you?
My mom. I think that's, again, is like either in you.
Yeah.
I think you see it and I would say Atlanta. I would say my upbringing, 100%. My mom has always been an entrepreneur. She worked for the city of Atlanta, but still had other jobs on the side. Like I remember she tried selling cars at one point. She was selling dirt. She had a dump truck and would sell dirt. But she still worked a 9 to 5. So at a very young age, like, and she always, every house we lived in, she had an office. So I would go into her office and like play with papers and pretend like I was an entrepreneur or I was a businesswoman. So I think seeing that early on taught me like you have to wear many hats if you want to be successful. And then, like I said, growing up in Atlanta, I've been friends with people, or we went to school with people, or these celebrities and people are at arm's reach. So you see that, oh, anything I dream of, I could actually be. It's really not that far-fetched.
And with that entrepreneurship, tell me about your family's business, the Blue Flame, coming up and seeing the entrepreneurship of having a landmark brand be part of your family's identity too, and running it as a Black-owned business, like what did that do for you as well?
So by marriage, that is my family's strip club, and just seeing around, I think I kind of realized what it was, or like the business side of it around like 16-ish.
Okay.
Once I'm like reading more like books or listening to rap music, and you're hearing people talk about it or sing it in the culture, I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
This is a staple thing, especially in my early 20s. I realized like it's a pivotal part of the culture. So when I was in college, I started waitressing there, and that's when I really started to get like the game. Like, okay, it's all about relationships. It's all about being a people person, connecting with people. And I used a lot of those skill sets that I got in college waitressing to now even in the entertainment industry. A lot of people, rappers that I met while being their waitress, I interviewed later at the radio station, things like that. So it kind of all comes full circle. But like I said, it all boils down to like basic life principles. Being nice to everyone, remembering things, being punctual, not taking too long to go get somebody their drink, but coming back with something extra, like over exceeding expectations, serving people. Like these are skill sets that can apply in any genre or any field of entrepreneurship.
Because it really comes down to service.
Whether
it's waitressing, entrepreneurship, running a company, seeing your mom start companies, start over again. It's always about the service you can provide. And it's like, how do you treat people?
And outworking everybody else. I know a lot of waitresses would like sit down and be relaxed, and I never sat down at work.
Yeah.
Never sat down. Like my friend said, if she sits down, that means there's no money in here. Like, so like just having that hustle, and that's how I feel, like you said, in our life, like we don't sit down, we don't stop, we just keep going. Because there's always some money in the world to be made.
It's a lot of money to make in Atlanta too. You got out of your comfort zone. You left waitressing. You said, it's time to invest in my dream. Tell me about that chapter in your life when you were bi-coastal, when you were hustling to really build your brand as an actress, as an on-air personality, as a filmmaker, and that leap of faith that you took, which was so uncomfortable for you.
I planned though for the previous years before I quit waitressing, like while other girls were like buying designer things, and because you make pretty good money waitressing, especially in that environment, guys are throwing away money. So I was saving. I cut back. I paid off my car. I had already bought my first house, so I was paying double on my mortgage to try to like beat interest rates so I can get my house paid off sooner. I didn't know that I was planning to take a leap of faith. I was just what I thought was being financially smart and saving a lot of money. So I had
Which is how your mom raised you to be.
Yeah, that was always a fundamental, because you just never know what's going to happen. I think the pandemic even showed us all of that. So right before the pandemic, 2018, I'm like, okay, obviously I can't waitress forever. I mean, I'm gorgeous, but you won't be forever. Like,
what you gonna rely on, baby girl?
What are you gonna do with this? You have all these connections. I had already graduated with a degree in film and television, but I didn't really know quite where I would land in the realm of film and television. I had started radio, but I was still part-time, and part-time wasn't enough to pay the bills. So I was like, okay, if you really want to be something.
And that's when I met you, when you were learning how to be a board op at the radio station.
Yep. You actually came in while I was interning on the Little Bankhead.
Before you even got on the air.
Yeah, before I was on air. So I would come in on certain days, during the days before going to work, I would intern and learn the board, and I would go to work at night, and I was just saving and stacking and just trying to make and find where my footing would be in entertainment. But by the time I decided to leave the club, I was already working part-time at the radio station, but it still wasn't enough. So like I said, I was saving up money, and I was like, all right, I got this money. I know somebody that works at the airlines. I'm going to see if I can use as many buddy passes as I can to fly back and forth. I had met Tasha Smith, the actress and director, and actually acting coach. She had came into the club, again, relationships, came into the club filming a movie that was based on a true story, and she was asking me about the club. I was giving her a tour, and I was telling her, well, you should shoot it this way, or this is where. She was like, okay, you kind of know a little bit of something. And so I was sort of like, well, I always kind of wanted to act or get into television. And I got her information. Yeah. She gave me my first speaking role in that movie. The scene ended up getting cut. I'm pretty sure it's because I wasn't good enough. No, I'm just playing. No, it just didn't make sense for the movie. But the scene ended up getting cut. But it still was my first experience as a paid working actress on set. And I was like, oh, I love being on set. This is what I want to do. I want to be in front of the camera. So I spoke with her right before leaving the club, and I actually tricked myself. I said, okay, after my birthday's in April, I said, after my birthday in 2018, I'm going to take a 30-day break from waitressing. I had already been waitressing most of my 20s after college and everything. I was like, I want to take a break. I just need a break to figure out what am I going to do. I took a 30-day break. Then I said, I'm going to go into 45 days. After 45 days, like right around that 45-day mark, I said, I'm going to take acting classes. I hit up Tasha Smith and I said, can I come to your acting class? And she was like, girl, my acting class is in LA. You about to move to LA? And I was like, no, but I'll fly every week. It was on Mondays. I was like, I'll fly in every week on Monday because I work on the radio on Sunday. So I'll fly in Monday morning on the red eye. She was like, if you're that dedicated to come from Atlanta to LA every week, I'll let you come to my classes for free. Oh my God. I said, say less. I would fly in, I would get a rental car. Most times I didn't even get a place to stay. I would sleep in the minivans. I was getting they had, it was like some type of deal, like mystery car deal at the rental cars where you got the cheapest car for like $10, whatever car they couldn't get rid of. Most of the time it was a minivan. That was fine with me because I would let that seat back and sleep in that minivan until I could, because sometimes, on Buddy Pass, you might not make the flight back. And so where are you gonna go? You sleep in the car, I done slept in LAX. I did that I slept in like kind of thugged it out for about 6.5, 7 months, doing that every week. And my mom was like, okay, I really don't feel comfortable with you doing this. This is unsafe. But I had met friends. I was already meeting people out there actually in acting class. And I was I would go out there. I even got smart. I was like, okay, I'm going to take all, because I would get deals with like fashion deals with social media for like Fashion Nova and stuff like that. So I would take all my clothes in the car, and I would change in the car, and I would like work with photographers and shoot like lifestyle content during the day before acting class. And one of the girls who was the photographers that I worked with, she was actually commuting back and forth from New York. Wow. So she was like, I think I'm gonna move to LA. And I was like, I'm thinking about trying to get somewhere out here too. But I was like, I can't afford it because I know I had a house in Atlanta. So she was like, well, let's get a 2-bedroom together. So we ended up getting a 2-bedroom together, and we had that apartment for about 2 years till right January. My lease was up January that the pandemic hit. 2020. So I did that for we had that apartment like 1.5 years. And I did that I trained with Tasha Smith. I made so many amazing connections in LA. Yeah. And then something in my heart, that's when you just gotta listen to God. Something in my heart said, you know what? It's time to let that lease go. And Michelle, my roommate, had moved up in her field. She's also now a celebrity stylist. Now doing that, and she was working for LV at the time, and so she could afford to have her own spot. And she was like, yeah, maybe we need our own space. And we were friends, and I was like, yeah, you're right, maybe I don't think I'm gonna come back. And then the pandemic hit, and she stayed in LA the whole time, and I had to stay in Atlanta, so it worked out perfectly.
Talk about self-investment.
Man.
How many bookings have you had since those trainings, since those acting classes? Like, what different projects have you been a part of? Just to show people the product of all that.
Yeah, I can't even count how many, but
that's the part she need to work on, is slowing down and take inventory of all her success.
You're right.
But let's start naming as much as you can. Right.
I did Swarm on Amazon Prime, the Miss Pat show on BET, every season of Tales on BET. I just filmed a movie, directing, starred, and produced by T.I., which I'm really excited to see this role because it was a very big role in the movie. I self-produced my own movie with my friends, me, Ernestine Morrison, B. Simone, and Miss Jackie O, and starred in that. So it's over a dozen now. I got a good little IMDb. I did BMF. Yeah. I forget.
Yeah, how many seasons of BMF did you do?
I did one.
Okay.
The first season of BMF.
So my girl's been working.
Yeah, I've been working.
It's so hard to keep up with everything that you've done.
It's hard for me to keep up.
On top of that, you were doing Airbnbs.
Yeah, I did have an Airbnb.
You're an entrepreneur at heart in so many different places.
Absolutely.
It's hard to put you in one category.
Well, because even in entertainment, anybody that's in the entertainment industry, you might have, Like, and then that was the thing, like right after the pandemic, like 2020, like the top of 21 to 2023-ish, 2020, I was hot. Yeah. Like I just started booking. I'm like, okay, I made the right decision. I'm booking everything. Like I was doing so much because a lot of stuff moved to Atlanta right after the pandemic. So I started booking a lot of things, and got picked up by an agent. I was represented by the People Store. So I was like, oh my God, this is happening way sooner. I thought it was gonna take me 10 years. Yeah. Like everybody said, but it was happening. And then the end of 23-ish, it started to slow down. So I think you have to, because of entertainment, it comes in waves. Like you don't know when your next gig is coming. You are an entrepreneur if you're in entertainment, because you're trying to get these companies to hire you, but you're pitching yourself. You're always going out on auditions and stuff. So I feel like you have to just carry that over, or always have something that's a little bit more stable if you want to live a decent lifestyle. Because like I said, I don't want to be broke. It's never been part of your plan. I want to eat what I want to eat. I want to go where I want to go. I love traveling.
She wants a soft life.
I want a soft life. Well, it's still not soft, but it'll never be soft. But I want flexibility. Yeah. You know, and I think just having that cushion, I think, gives you the stability to be able to chase your dreams.
No, for sure. So in a lot of your transitions, one thing I realized as your friend is the pandemic, while it was kind of like disruptive in a lot of negative ways for a lot of people, for you, it was a blessing, because it really allowed you to slow down and really lock in and to build your relationship spiritually with God too. Absolutely. What did that moment do for you? Like, can you kind of describe it a little bit more?
Yeah, I was living alone. I had just bought my second home in 2019. And so I was renting out, thank God. I had rented out, I was renting out my old first home that I was just talking about. Yeah. And so I had income. So I wasn't as stressed as a lot of people. That was keeping me afloat. And like I said, I had already let go of that apartment in LA. So I had kind of set, again, being a little bit smart ahead of the game. Yeah. And so I was able, and I was single at the time, living completely alone in my home. And so, you know, during the pandemic, we were afraid to see our families. Yeah. You know, we didn't, especially those first 6 months, I would say, especially in Atlanta, to probably like July-ish, we were really isolated. So during that time, it was literally just me alone in my home with God. And I don't think I had ever really been alone in a way of like just always being around people, always working, always on set, always, you know, in a club environment where you're surrounded by so many energies. So to sit alone with yourself, you are faced with like, okay, why is it hard for you to be alone? Why are you working so hard? What are you trying to overcompensate for something?
What are you trying to outperform?
Is solitude enough? Is being still? How can you be happy when you're being still? How can you still feel self-fulfillment when you're still, when it's just you and it's not a job or another goal or something? So having those conversations, and then I again on YouTube, that's really all I had during the pandemic, YouTube, listening to church sermons and falling in love with God through that way, and realizing, oh wait, I'm not alone. Like God is here, and just building a relationship with Him through that really I feel like is the foundation of my new spiritual relationship.
And that's when our bond got so much stronger, because we were spending so much time together, creating content and really leaning into our sisterhood. I just want to say I'm so proud of you.
Thank you for your.
I remember when I got my opportunity at Revolt and I knew they needed an additional host. I remember going to my manager's office and be like, yeah, I got to look at her demo reel. Like, I'm going to send y'all the demo reel. We didn't even have a demo reel made yet. And then I said, yo, I just promised a demo reel. And now we
got to figure it out.
We got to build it from scratch. But like the day you auditioned and they fell in love with you, I was like, oh, she's no longer Atlanta's best kept secret anymore. Aww. Like everybody know now, she's the one, she's her, she's the girl. And then now seeing you on Fox Soul, killing it again, there's always going to be a room for you in any table, just because you're such a good person. You know what I mean? Thank you, friend. And I think people expect a certain star quality when they see your presence, and they don't realize like you're just another homegirl. Yeah, you're the girl next door. Yeah, and you don't have a lot of ego. You don't have any ego whatsoever.
Yeah, maybe I should get some. I think that might be
you think so?
I think I need a little bit,
just a little
bit more ego. I think that might help a little bit. But
okay, so on a serious note, why do you say that?
Because
what does ego do in a positive way?
In a positive way, it helps you from selling yourself short.
Okay.
Especially as a woman. I think I've always been nice.
Yeah.
And now I don't have kids yet, but I was literally just thinking yesterday, I don't think I'm gonna, especially if I have a daughter, I was a little frustrated, but I was like, I'm not gonna teach her to be nice. I'm gonna teach her to be kind, but not nice. And I was like, because I think nice sometimes gets you run over and overworked and underpaid. And people will be like, well, she'll just do it. She's nice. Or we're like, she's dependable. We'll just call her. She'll. And while that has opened doors for me, because like you said, people see my work ethic. People like, she's such a pleasure to work with. We enjoy her. We love her. We want her around. I think that they take advantage of it a little bit. And I feel like if I knew who I was sooner with that ego, it would maybe get me, I maybe would be a little bit further ahead. Or at least my pockets would be.
Just extra zeros and commas.
Because you see that with men in the industry.
Yeah.
Like they're really firm.
They can be mediocre but get overpaid.
Man,
when you
that
overperform
ego?
And then like, yeah.
You're like, oh wait, but I have way more skills than him.
Yeah.
Or, you know, like, but
it
their
ain't about
ego.
talent, it's about how you big yourself up. You know?
And I sometimes have a hard time bigging myself up, and I think that is that ego.
And as someone who bigs you up all the time, one of the most frustrating things about you is you don't realize who you are and what you bring to the table.
That is my flaw. And I feel like if I had just a little bit more ego, I would see what other people see first. But because I look at people on a human level, like just souls and not what you've done. I expect people to do that back, to treat me like a person or a human, or just like with the same kindness and respect, but that's not how the industry works.
And I think we're unicorns because it hasn't changed us yet.
No.
It changes everybody.
And I think it needed, I need a little, I need a little bit for ego.
Just a little tad bit.
Just a little ego. Some ego shoes or something. You know, I put my the ego shoes on.
Not the ego shoes. So a piece of advice for content creators, because you also have an amazing discipline on YouTube. You vlog regularly. You've had a podcast with your mother. We've done a podcast together. And then you do content for major media hubs as well. You're always the most disciplined when it comes to creating content. Any advice for other people struggling through launching their brand?
I learned it from you. Cut it out.
Don't give me too much credit.
I know, seriously, I did. While I am an executor, I'm also, I used to be a little bit disorganized and would do what felt right at the moment. But what I learned from you through the pandemic, like you said, when we were hustling and pushing out those episodes, it's all in the pre-production. If you can get a lot done, if you can just take some time, an hour or 2 hours to sit down and pre-produce things, it'll flow smoother when you're actually doing it, and then it'll help you be consistent. So with content, I vlog. The thing I would say about vlogging, people are like, how are you able to consistently vlog weekly? I just bring the camera around. I'm myself. I'm not trying to do any special pranks or thing. I'm like, listen, y'all, this week is a week. You know what I mean? I'm just showing them, it's like a little BTS behind the scenes of my life. So I don't have to perform for that. I just pull out the camera when I think about it. And when I don't, I forget. I'm like, y'all, I ain't talked to y'all since Tuesday. It's Friday, Thursday, whatever. Let me fill y'all in. And then I just have conversations with them. So I've built that audience on being myself. And ironically, they just really love that. They like those, they feel like, they say it all the time, it feels like they're on FaceTime with me when we just have those sit down talks. So they're like, you don't have to be doing anything. We just like talking to you. So
you give them a front row seat to your life, and you're so vulnerable as well that people can really relate to.
That's my strength. I feel like that's my biggest strength. A lot of people, when they have followers or in the entertainment industry, and I think even like that's the old Hollywood way of looking at things, like you have to be this star and be poised and perfect and mysterious. And
always,
I'm not mysterious.
No, I'm
very,
everything.
Here it is. And either you like it or not, because I just feel like that's easier for me to keep up. If I'm honest and transparent, I have so many things going on, I can't keep up with a lie. I can't. So,
but your honesty brings people to the village that you're creating, because you'll be like, hey, y'all, I was raised by 2 moms.
Yeah.
I can tell you what it feels like to be an ally. I can tell you what it feels like to be a Black woman. I can tell you what it feels like to be an entrepreneur. You really...
This is my experience.
This is who I am.
Yeah.
Take it or leave it.
Yeah.
No matter if you agree or disagree with my lifestyle.
I feel like that's the biggest asset you can have as a creator, is being honest and transparent and vulnerable.
Yeah.
Because you don't have to perform. You don't have to keep up with anything. You can pull out the camera whether you have on makeup or not, or you're done up or not. And people will genuinely, there's gonna be somebody that connects with that. And like all those different things that you just mentioned, somebody connects with their LGBTQ plus people that are like, wow, we've never seen anybody from, be a child raised in that environment. So I'm thinking about having kids, and I've always thought about it. Like, I have so many questions, you kind of answer those things for me. Or wow, I did waitress in a strip club, and I want to do something else, but I didn't know how to transition. Like, you kind of show that for me. So I think there's going to be somebody that connects with every piece of your journey. So you just be honest about it, and the right people will find you.
They will always find you. So answer this question. The secret to my success is?
The secret to my success is vulnerability, transparency, and just being a good person. Every job, opportunity, major break I've gotten thus far has been through a relationship. Not because of a resume, not because of an application or a job posting. It's been because of somebody enjoyed working with me, or somebody saw me when I didn't even know they were looking and put my name in the room. Neima, she did it. She's an example of that. Like you said, and we hadn't even worked officially. Yeah. Well, we had did our podcast.
Yeah.
But
we didn't even overlap at that job.
No,
by the time you started, it was my season wrapped up.
Yeah. Like that. That's what I'm saying. Every single opportunity, it'll be like somebody is in there and they're like, oh wait, you're doing this?
Yeah.
You should try out Brii Renee. And then boom, I come in, and then I'm like, wait, but you're leaving.
Yeah. What are you doing?
Where are you going? Where are you going? But it always happens like that. And I think that's just because people see my heart.
And they always will. So the Village Values podcast is really about talking about the village that it took to become a success story, and how the values that we have really connect us as a community. So when you hear the word village values, what comes to your mind?
I first think of family. Okay. I would not be as confident, or I wouldn't be this person if it wasn't for my family. Like, my mom always gave me room to be vocal, be opinionated, and she gave me the discipline to achieve all of these things. These are the values that she instilled in me. Being a good person, she instilled in me. Being honest and trustworthy, being a hard worker. My uncle who passed, he was funny, and he was a people person, and he knew how to draw a crowd in, and I feel like I got those values from him. And every mentor I've ever had along the way, I feel like I've had all the way down from cheerleading coaches that invested into me, to Tasha Smith, and women that I've worked under, the Moniques of the world, and the Naimas that have invested in me. Like, it's those seeds that are planted that I feel like motivate me. Like I said, all these people saw me before I saw myself. So that it takes a village sometimes I think all the time, actually, it takes a village. It's like a community garden. Like, a seed is, God might have planted that seed, but then Neima will come and water it this week, and then your grandma comes and water it next week, and somebody come and prunes it. Like, it's a community garden. I'm a community garden. But stop taking stuff without putting stuff back.
She said invest in the garden.
Invest in the garden.
Bring some seeds. Bring some soil.
Bring some
fertilize. Replenish the earth.
And it'll feed the community,
The community. But it's a lot of takers, though. They're going to take from the garden.
Well, that's why I say we got to put some fences up.
Just a little
I need a little ego fence. That's what I need.
Just a little bit. Well, it is such an honor having you my second guest.
Thank you for having
the
me,
village values. And it didn't feel right starting this podcast and not having you in this seat. So we'll see how far we take it, what we do with it. But the starting point is beautiful
because go far. Everything Neima does is going through the roof. And I'm so proud of you. I'm so excited to watch you blossom. Me and my friend were talking about you the other day, and I was like, Naima's going to own a network one day. Watch.
We're going to speak that to existence.
Something big. I don't know. Is she going to start one, own one? Just y'all watch out.
Hopefully it involves zeros and commas.
A lot of them.
So I can take care of you.
Yeah, I'm gonna be one of the, I just want a show, friend. Just give me a show. That's all. I'll EP something with you. Start it.
We got you. Thank y'all so much for tuning in for the second episode of Village Values. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel, follow on social media as well, and we'll see you next time.